Hello everybody, I'm Deb. I'm in my kitchen today and I wanted to show you how to make a pie crust. You can of course buy a couple of different things at the grocery store if you want. There is the kind that you are in a box and you roll it out flat and you put it in a pie crust and trim it up, make it fit your pie plate, and those are very good. You can buy the already made crusts in the freezer section. Those are really good. But if you just like to make your own, they're really tasty. I like to make my crust. I don't do it every time. Sometimes I just need the speed or the time out of the kitchen, so I'll go ahead and buy a crust. But sometimes I like to make it too. So I wanted to show you how easy it is. It looks, you might think it's a hard thing to do, but I promise it's not hard at all. Start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour. So your all-purpose flour does not have the salt and baking soda in it, but we're going to add some salt. To your flour, you're going to add 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Sometimes I leave the cinnamon out depending on what kind of pie that I'm making, so it's not a have to. Then it also needs 1 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to just dish out a little bit of salt here. If it'll come out, there it comes. So it's 1 teaspoon. We're getting there. I guess I should have gotten a bigger bottle out. Okay. There's our salt. Ground nutmeg, and it's 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Then I'm going to stir these items together. And I learned something from Mo that I had never done before, and that's to stir your flour ingredients with a whisk. That kind of gets a little bit of air into your flour. Helps to mix it all up a little bit easier. You know, a lot of times recipes will tell you to sift your flour. Well, this is not sifting, but it's helping to get a little bit of air into your mixture. Okay, so after that is mixed, then we're going to add shortening. And it takes 3/4 cup of vegetable shortening. This is 1/2 cup. I love how they now package shortening in these little packages. It's a lot like your butter. And it has the how many teaspoons, or let's say tablespoons. Yeah, how many tablespoons are on the side. So the first, that was 1/2 cup. So now I need 1/4 more, and that's 4 more tablespoons. So I'm gonna add that to my flour mixture, and we'll put that up later. Then it takes 1½ sticks of butter. So you just drop that in, and now you need a really good pastry blender. And we're just going to mix this in, kind of cut it into the flour mixture. Sometimes till it gets down in there, I use my knife just to get it off of the pastry cutter so I can continue cutting. But you're just gonna do this until all this is blended into your flour mixture. Doesn't take long, takes just a few minutes, but your flour and the butter and the shortening all mixed together will become kind of crumbly. And then we're going to continue on with the rest of the ingredients. So, you know, you can put any kind of pie in this that you want. I've made apple pies, pumpkin pie. That's what I'm actually going to make today, since we're getting near Thanksgiving and it's time to, real soon going to be time to make some pumpkin items. Golly, I can't believe it's Thanksgiving. I just can't believe this year has gone by so fast. 2 years now since the COVID thing started, and it seems like it was yesterday. It's just, I don't know, I measure time now by pre-COVID and after COVID. So we still need to mix this up just a little bit. Like I was saying though, you can do any kind of pie in this crust. I've made a chocolate pie. I have a really good chocolate pie recipe that we like. I've made a pecan pie in it. Today, like I said, I'm putting a pumpkin pie recipe in this crust, and that's why I left that cinnamon in there. I think that the cinnamon will be good with the pumpkin pie. But if I'm making a chocolate pie, I don't like to use the cinnamon in the crust. So just a little bit more here. I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll be right back with it all mixed up. Okay, my mixture is a little crumbly batch of shortening, flour, butter mostly, and the cinnamon, salt, and nutmeg. So to this, you're going to add 1 tablespoon of vinegar, white vinegar, just plain vinegar. This is 1 tablespoon of this. Okay. 1 beaten egg. I've already got that all ready to just pour right in. Okay. And 5 tablespoons of cold water. Just pour that in. And now I like to do this with my hands. You can mix with a spoon if you want to, but I just like to put my hands down in there and just mix this up. It's just gonna get these items kind of mixed in here. This actually makes 2 pie crusts. So you're gonna have enough here to make your pie that you're working on and put the rest into the freezer. This will keep in the freezer for about 3 months. So especially if you have plans maybe to make more than 1 pie over the holidays, go ahead and mix this up and have it in the freezer ready for whenever you're ready to make your pie. You just take it out and let it thaw for just a few minutes, it may be 30 minutes. And it'll be thawed out and ready to roll out and make your pie with. So that's all you have to do. After I've gotten this mixed up, I'm going to put it into bags. And if you're going to use it right then, you will want to put it into bags and set it in the freezer for about 15 minutes. And then it's ready to roll out and make your pie right then. So you can use it immediately, or you can store it in the freezer for up to 3 months. So I'm going to divide this in half now. I've got it mixed up. And I'm going to put half of it into 1 bag. It's a good Ziploc freezer bag. I always say don't, these are great value bags, but if you're going to store things in the freezer for a little while, get good bags. You don't want them busting on you and ruining your freezer. So I always suggest getting good bags. Okay, and now here's my second one. I'm going to put it into a second bag right here. And then I like to kind of flatten them out so that when they're laying in the freezer, they're flat like that. It just kind of gives you a little extra space. Okay, so it just so happens that I have the crust already made. This one came from the freezer. I am going to roll it out and show you how to put it into your pie plates. So I'm going to take this out. This one was in the freezer. It's been out this morning for just a little while. I'm going to put some flour on my pastry mat so that it won't stick to the, sometimes I do it right on top on my counter, but I have a pastry mat down today. You can do it however you like, but your flour will keep it from sticking to whatever you're using. So, okay. Just gonna use my roller now, get a little bit of flour here and roll it out. And you want it to be fairly thin, because if you don't want a thick crust, you know, when it bakes and you get a big chunk of crust, you want more to taste your filling than your crust. So you get this rolled out just a little bit more, and make sure you have the pie plate nearby that you're going to use. Okay, I think we about got it good. This pastry mat has different measurements on it, so you can see how big you need your mixture to be, your crust to be. So if you have something like that, that helps to know how big you want it. This is my pie plate. So here's how you put it in the plate. Kind of take the edge of your dough and roll it up on your rolling pin, just like this. And then pick it up, the whole thing, and lay it on your pie plate and roll it out. And now it's laying on my pie plate. So I'm just going to kind of tear off some of the edge that's hanging over far. I don't want to have a lot extra. And then we're just going to make sure it's fitting good. And you can actually turn those edges under if you'd like. I'm going to turn them under a little bit here. If you wanted to leave all of your crust on, you don't necessarily have to tear it off, but you can turn it under if you want to. And then I'm going to make a little, I'm not real fancy on the edges. You can take a fork and just make fork marks all the way around the edge. Or I like to take these two fingers and this one and just kind of make an edge. You're pushing in with this finger and holding the dough in place with these two, so that it makes a little kind of crinkled edge all the way around. Now, about baking this, do you need to bake it or not? And that depends on the kind of pie that you're making. So I'm making a pumpkin pie. Well, the pumpkin pie has to bake, so I'm going to, I don't have to bake this first. But if I make like a strawberry pie that needs to go in the refrigerator, I would bake my pie for 10 to 15 minutes, depending on until it gets browned. Just bake it. Whoops, my edges fell here. Let me fix this. So you don't have to bake it first unless your recipe tells you to. If your recipe says bake your pie crust, then you bake it. If it says bake your pie with the crust, then you would bake it then. So that's what it looks like. Very easy. Doesn't take just a few minutes. So make sure that you make your own homemade pie crust, okay? Happy Thanksgiving.